Happy 4th of July, everybody. Hope everyone's staying safe out there. And thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Jobology podcast. For this holiday edition, we are going to have a guest whose job is so American that it has United States in the title. He works for the United States Postal Service, and he's going to tell us all about being a mailman, what other jobs are in the postal industry, and the procedures that you have to go through if you get bit by a dog. So without further ado, Garrett. First, I want to say thank you for taking time out of your day to join me. For those of you who don't know, or maybe skipped through the little intro there at the beginning, this is my friend Garrett. I've known Garrett since we were in high school, and he's also taken over as the commissioner of my fantasy football league. So, really appreciate you for that, Garrett. But how are you doing today?
Doing great. Sunday, so it's my day off.
Nice, nice. And if you haven't, seen I mean, obviously I'm hoping you guys saw the title. That's why you clicked on the video. But if you didn't, today we're going to be talking about being I'm going to say mailman, but if you want to say, hey, we prefer this term or we prefer that term, then you're more than welcome to correct me. First question that we like to start out with is, um, how would you, if somebody said, hey, Garrett, what do you do for a living? How do you answer that question?
Well, just as you addressed me, I would say that I'm a mailman.
Okay.
There are different terms for it. The technical term is I'm a city carrier.
Okay.
So I carry mail. I go door to door.
Nice.
My specific position is called the city carrier technician.
Okay. City carrier technician, and that is for the city of
Tempe. So that's a bordering city of Phoenix. It's where Arizona State University is.
Okay. Nice. Um, the next, kind of part here is why become a mailman? Is it something that I was kind of thinking like, okay, why would Gary become maybe like convenience, but I have no idea. So why that kind of path?
Well, I mean, it's kind of specific to what was going on in my life at the time. I had moved out of state. I was living in San Diego. It was 2020, so we were in the thick of the pandemic. And so my girlfriend and I decided we were going to move to the Phoenix area, save some
Nice.
money, a little cheaper area for us. But I decided I would apply for the post office before we even moved out here
Oh, nice.
because at that time, a lot of jobs were up in the air. Job security was tough. I was working in the casino industry at the time, and in San Diego, I had actually been furloughed from my job.
Oh,
So I thought, okay, if we're moving out of state, we're moving to a completely different place. I need a job that is going to be a job that's going to be secure and something where I know that I'm going to have work.
okay.
So I know that at the time, I knew that the post office, it runs six
Yeah.
days a week. Technically it runs 7 days a week, every day.
Okay.
So that's why I decided to apply for the post office.
Nice. And then with that application like process, is that something where you walk into a post office and you're like, "Hey, I'm here to work, sign me up," or is it like an online kind of application process?
Yeah, it's an online process. You basically you apply online. You wait to hear back from the post office. If they're deciding to hire you, it is a government job, so you do
Mhm.
have to go through a background test and a drug
Yep.
test.
Yep.
And if you pass those, then you're going to go ahead and take a written exam, which
Okay.
is
Oh,
going to
wow.
include. It's going to basically what it's trying to figure out is how good your memory is. It's
Okay.
it's basically a memory test, really.
Okay. Oh, I would fail that miserably.
Yeah, it was, I didn't think it was hard or anything, but
Right.
it was something that you do online. And if you pass that written test, then you wait for the postmaster of that city you had applied for
Okay.
to contact you.
So is that technically your like boss then? Is the postmaster general? I don't know.
The postmaster general is
Or is that like the main like head
that
guy?
is the nation's
Okay.
postmaster.
Okay.
But each city has a postmaster.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
the city of Tempe is the city I applied for. It was a neighboring town of where I moved to here in the Phoenix area.
Okay, so background check, drug test, written test. That part, I would have never guessed that. If you were like, "Oh, what do you think you have to?" I would have been like, "I don't know, drug test." I would have guessed drug test and background test. Would have
Mhm.
never guessed a written test. And then, is it a pretty like long waiting period that you have to wait to hear back, or is it like, hey, you do the test and then 2 days later they're like, "Check, good to go."
Yeah, right. It is a long process. I applied when I lived in San Diego, and I think I heard back 2.5 months later.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay, so it can take a minute.
Yeah, I had almost forgotten.
Yeah, there you go. So see, yeah. So if you are out there applying, don't get discouraged. It can take some time. Maybe just a little bit of time, and you'll get your letter. So get the job, and then is it like, I don't know like how exactly how you would start, but is it like you don't get a I'm assuming you don't get a route immediately, like there's some kind of like training, or like, hey, here's the process, like what does that kind of look like after you or actually, do you get assigned a post office, or do you like pick one that you're like, I want to work for this one?
You do get assigned a post office.
Okay.
Um, but depending on what city you live in, the city I work in, Tempe, there are three post offices in that city.
Okay.
I was assigned to it's called the main post office. It's right in the middle of Tempe. And
Okay.
then there's a post office up north and a post office down south
Oh, okay. And then the mail comes into the post offices based on like where people live, I'm assuming the area.
by your zip code.
Okay, that makes
So
sense.
the zip code that I deliver to is 85282.
If you guys are out there in what 852, look out for Garrett.
That's
Go
right.
outside, say hey.
That's right. That's right. 85282.
There you go. 85282. Got it. Okay. And then kind of after we've gotten the job and we've kind of done some training or whatever, what does a like typical day look like? Something that we like to talk about on the podcast a lot is, what's the average day look like, because we have an idea, especially with mailman. I'm sure everyone thinks they know, oh yeah, they go in, they get the mail, they go deliver it, and then that's the day. But like, what kind of steps are we missing? What are we not seeing?
Well, pretty much I start at 7:30 in the morning,
Okay.
and a typical 8-hour day goes till 4 p.m.
Okay.
So I come in at 7:30. I There is a laundry list of things that you have to check and do in the morning to ensure that you are going to be safe out on the street. First thing
Okay.
we do is go check our vehicles.
Those are those little mail carts, right? That we see. Like, is it the
Yes.
same in every city, or is that
No, not
okay?
necessarily. We got four different types of vehicles that we use at
Okay.
our post office. The main thing you're going to see, the thing that everyone has seen, is called the LLV, which stands for the long lasting vehicle.
Okay.
And it's
LLV.
true.
Nice.
These things, these mail trucks, they were built in the 90s,
Yeah,
and their production was done in 95. So we're driving 30-year-old trucks.
and they're still going.
They're still going. They're constantly being tinkered and fixed and
Mm,
worked on, but they're still going.
mm.
And so that's why the very first thing in the morning you do is you go out and you check your truck, check all the signals, you check to make sure that all the lights are working. You don't want to have any hazards going on while you're out on the street. That's just going to hinder you from completing your assignment, which is finishing your route.
Gotcha.
Um, After you check your vehicle, you're going to come back inside the post office, and basically you're going to get a stack of mail. And this mail that you're getting is it's supposed to be for your route only. And what you do is you go to your route's case. Now, I'll explain what the case is, but
Yeah, I was gonna ask
you
you that.
basically you go to your case and you put the mail in order. Now, what your case is it's basically like two giant shelves, and on each shelf, there's a little slot for each address that you're going to go to.
Oh, wow.
So you got this stack of mail and you put it in order because you do the route that specific way every single day.
Okay, that was gonna be another one of my questions was like, is it something that you get to pick? Like, okay, I'm mixing it up today. I'm going, a different direction, or I want to hit these houses first, or I want to get these done first, or is it like, hey, this is your route, you run this route every day, same thing?
This is your route. You are supposed to be doing it the same way every day. Now,
Hmm.
say something new has been built on your route. Say a
Okay.
new apartment complexes are popping up a
Yeah.
new apartment complex is on your route now. It's
Hmm.
in the area that you deliver to. So there is ways where you can manipulate how your route is done. But at the plant, which is where the major source of all the mail and all the packages are being sorted, they are doing pre-sorted mail. So they are pre-sorting your mail for your route.
Okay.
And you're going to get, probably depending on how your route goes, you're going to get trays of mail that are technically in order.
Okay.
And the stuff you do in the beginning of the day, sorry, my cats are going
Hey,
crazy back here.
no, it adds to it. I love
The
it.
stuff that you do in the beginning of the day at your case are like magazines and maybe some mail that wasn't sorted correctly. That's
Okay.
what you're going to be doing separately, other than those trays of mail you're getting.
In the cases.
Yeah.
That's what you're okay, gotcha. Okay, so to recap real quick, we get in the mail's already there for you, or you go get, a tray of it, or and then you
Mhm.
sort it. It's like a double sorting, basically. They've sorted it and like
Yes.
grouped it, and then now you're specifically sorting it to the
Mhm.
different houses. Um, and then from there, after mail's sorted, what's the next step?
The next step is you're going to be taking the packages that the clerks at the post office are throwing packages to where they need to go
Okay.
for each route. You're going to grab the packages for your route, and you're going to take all the mail and all the packages, and you're going to sort it out at your truck.
Okay.
Um, you're going to sort it efficiently because efficiency is huge in the post office. They want the most efficient way done each time. They want to get the job done, in a timely manner.
Right.
And you're going to go outside and you're going to go to your truck. And you're going to sort your packages. Usually it's divided into 6 sections,
Okay.
and you're going to put your mail in the truck and get going.
Okay. Is it your truck every like same truck, or is it, hey, here's all the trucks, get in the first, go? Or do you have like, nope, this is my truck. I use this one.
Each route is assigned a truck.
Okay.
Um, Before, what I was saying, there are LLVs, which is like
Hmm.
the majority
Hmm.
of trucks that we use, but we also have a Dodge ProMaster.
Oh,
You might have
okay.
seen people driving those, and that's just like basically a big van.
Okay. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Hmm.
And then there's also a 2-ton vehicle, which is like if you see like the giant trucks, like you'll see like a UPS truck or a FedEx truck or even a
Yes.
USPS truck. We have those as well.
Okay.
Depending on your route and what you're doing, they assign a vehicle for that route.
Different truck to so if it's like mostly residential, it's going to be probably one of the smaller ones. If you're doing like big cargo kind of packages, stuff like that, you're going to be in one of the bigger ones. Gotcha.
Correct, correct. Yes.
Okay. One of my questions that I have that's more, job specific that we'll get to, but it fits here is what is the top speed on one of those? The LV? Is that what you said? Yeah.
Yes,
What's
an
what's the top
LLV.
speed? What's the top speed? I want
I've never gotten one of those things over 50 miles an hour.
to.
That's why you're not going to see them on the freeway.
No.
You're not
Okay.
going to be seeing. That's why they're driving slow.
Gotcha.
On the road. They're not quick vehicles.
No, they don't look like it. And is there any specific reason why you're driving on the other side?
They're designed that way because some routes still have out the window delivery. So you can be
Oh,
driving on the right side of the street, the correct
yeah,
side of the street, and you can be reaching out the window and
gotcha.
delivering mail.
That makes sense. I never thought. I always thought, yeah, like it makes sense for like safety if you're getting out, of the truck, then you're getting out on the sidewalk side instead of trying to get out into traffic. But now it makes
Yeah.
sense of like I don't. Yeah, I never thought of the like. Well, yeah, of course. Sometimes they still drive by and do it. Um, your mail bag. What do you carry in it?
It's called the satchel,
Okay, your mail
and
satchel.
in your satchel is what you're going to carry your packages mainly in the
Okay.
satchel. Um, if you're doing a long loop, like a long string of houses that you're delivering to, sometimes there's too much mail to just carry in both hands.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to bundle up some of that and put it in your satchel. But the main use is for packages. And we
Gotcha.
deliver a ton of packages. It's not just mail we're delivering. We're delivering packages for UPS. We're
Oh wow.
delivering packages for Amazon. And we're also delivering our own packages,
Uh,
uh, through the post office as well.
oh wow. I didn't know that. Okay. Interesting. Um, so then we get truck loaded up, check the truck, truck's good, and then we're out to our route.
Out to your route. Yep.
Um,
And pretty much what you're going to do is you're going to go to your first address. And depending on what kind of route you're doing, there's different kinds of routes. There's residential routes,
mhm,
there's business routes. There are routes that are just strictly somebody driving one of those 2-ton trucks to each one of the blue boxes that you'll see maybe on the side of the road
yep.
or next to a business. There's routes that are specific to those. There are some routes that are specific to going to different businesses throughout your city and picking up packages or picking up large amounts of mail that are being sent out.
Okay. What is your particular like your specific route?
So I'm a carrier, city carrier technician.
Okay.
So what my position is, I have 5 routes that I do.
Okay.
And the way it's designed is I do the route on the mailman's day off. So I have a
Okay.
regular carrier that let's say he's doing route 55.
Okay.
On his day off, I'm assigned to do that route.
So he gets like a day off during the week as a like and Sunday,
Mhm.
right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, correct, correct. The way it works is you get a rotating day off each
Mhm.
week, and then you also get Sunday. So the way it goes is the work week technically starts on Saturday.
Okay.
So say you have Monday off this week, so you'll have Sunday, Monday off. Then the next week, you'll have Sunday, Tuesday off. And the next week,
Gotcha.
it keeps going on and on. But it does eventually, one of the perks of the job, which is nice. I didn't know this before I started, but pretty much the way it works, I think it's almost every fifth week, you're going to have the last day of the week off and the first day of the week off. Like I
Gotcha.
said, the
So
first day
you're
of the week is Saturday.
mhm.
So the last day of the week is Friday. So every fifth week, I'm getting Friday, Saturday off, and then Sunday as well.
So you get yeah, you're getting like a full 3-day weekend
3
almost.
day weekend. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. It's kind of how it works with like I mean obviously not firemen in the same sense of like but the like you can have like you can block off time from time to time. But that makes I like that. So when you're like I mean maybe my questions might change a little now that I because I was under the impression you might be like out, day to day, every hitting every house. Um so after let's say you got your car loaded up, you got to the route. Um, at what point do you like take a break? Do you take lunch? Do you get like how does how many businesses, houses,
Mhm.
whatever do you have to hit, and how does that kind of work?
Well, you do have some freedom when it comes to that. You get 2 10-minute breaks and a 30-minute lunch every day. So you're allowed to take your breaks whenever you want. You just can't double stack them. You just can't
Gotcha.
do 10 minutes and then another 10 minutes, making it a 20-minute break.
Sure.
But it's to your, however you like to do your route. If there's a break in your route that you like, you think this is a good spot to take your 10-minute, that's great. Do it then. It's whatever the carrier's discretion is.
Okay.
Um, where I work out here in Phoenix, it's hot. It's very, very hot.
Yeah.
So, there are routes that I have where I'm like, okay, I'm getting to this part of the route that has a large shaded area,
Mhm.
or a an overhang or something where I can hang out, not underneath the sun, and that's
Yeah.
where I'm going to take my break.
Find that spot. Okay.
But to answer your question, you can take them whenever you like.
Gotcha. One of the other another one of my, couple specific occupational specific questions is there a temperature that it can get to where they go, "Hey, it's too," because I know like you're supposed to deliver in all weather, rain, sleet, snow, all that jazz. But then I was thinking like, "Ooh, what about Arizona? Like, does it if it's like 110, are they like, "Okay, or are they like, "Sorry, put a fan on, get out there. I don't know what to tell you."
The mail gets delivered every day, no
Okay.
matter what. No matter
Gotcha.
what kind of weather, what's going on, the
Okay.
mail's getting delivered.
Okay.
So just yesterday it was 111. I was out there and I was on a
Mhm.
walking route, which
Nope.
means the majority of my route is walking loops, drive to the next loop, walking loops.
Mm-mm.
So
No.
yeah, no, there is not a limit to how hot it can get. Um, I know in other areas. See, I deal with the heat. Other areas deal with the snow.
Mhm.
Other areas
Mhm.
deal with the rain. It doesn't matter. You're still delivering the mail.
Gotcha. Okay. And then, is there like I I mean, I guess because I was gonna say, like, if you finish your route or, like, I don't know if there's a way to finish early or if they have it set up so that you get to all these or vice versa. What if you are, like, days over and you're like, "Wait, I still got a third of my route to go because for whatever
Mm.
reasons, things were taking longer," whatever it might be. What does that, like, look like?
So this job, it's all about timing. It's all about your speed and how fast you can do your route. And what happens is each day you're not getting the same amount of mail.
Mhm.
One day you might get 1,100 pieces of mail. One day you might get 500 pieces of mail. It all depends on who's sending the mail and how much
Mhm.
mail is coming to your route.
Gotcha.
So we do have guidelines, and basically, what's going to happen is your supervisor. Remember, we were talking about casing your route when you go to your
Mhm.
case and you're sorting all your mail. Your supervisor is going around each one of those cases in the morning, and they're determining either how much overtime you need to finish your route or how
Mhm.
much undertime you have.
Okay.
Now, say I have very light mail that day, and I
Right.
know that I'm going to finish my route by 3 o'clock, and I'm not supposed to be done until 4.
Right.
Well, I am obligated to work 8 hours. I
Okay.
am guaranteed to work 8 hours. There's no, I'm going to be done at 3, so I'm going to leave at 3. What's going to happen is they're going to give me a piece of another route to do.
Mhm.
Maybe that the other route's carrier had called out that day, or they're on
Gotcha.
vacation, or whatever it is. There are always routes each day that are open.
Gotcha.
Somebody has to deliver the mail.
That's what I was gonna. Yeah, what happens in that such of like if somebody's route, then it's like, well, do we? They split it up between everyone else and go, sorry guys, hustle harder today.
Pretty much.
Okay.
There's what's called the overtime list. And if you're on the overtime list, that means that it's up to the supervisor manager's discretion to how much you're going to work.
Gotcha.
Um, when I was when you first apply to be a mailman,
Hmm.
you don't get hired as a career employee right away. You get hired as a part-time mailman.
Okay.
And basically what that means is you are going to be filling in on those routes that are open, or the routes that are, there's like a injured carrier that's going to be out for a couple months. You're going to be helping out. And when I first applied, I didn't realize, oh, it's going to be a non-career position that I'm going to be stepping into.
Hmm.
So during my orientation, I asked, hey, I need work. So if I'm only working part time, how many hours do you think I'm going to be working?
Right.
And he said, don't you worry. You're going to be working
Wait,
at
fine.
least 40 hours a week.
Oh,
When I was, so what you apply to be is called a city carrier assistant, a
okay.
CCA. And I was working an average of 56 hours a week.
Oh,
Now,
jeez Louise.
that's pretty standard.
Okay.
There were
Not.
some weeks where I was working 60 hours a week, 65 hours a
Mm-mm,
week.
mm-mm,
There was
mm-mm.
one week during the Christmas time that I worked
Oh.
78 hours
Oh.
in one
Mm,
week.
no. I didn't even know there was 78 hours in a week.
There is,
Um,
and you can
yeah,
work.
no. That's why no. Oh, you can. I can't. That's why I do this. So jeez Louise. Yeah, because yeah, Christmas time. That didn't of course, duh. Like of course Christmas time. I mean, does that like double or triple the amount a day, I would assume? At least.
During Christmas time, they have specific times set up. We are coming in earlier and we're leaving later. People
Hmm.
are sending packages, they're sending letters, they're sending
Christmas
everything,
cards.
every
Yeah.
yeah, for Christmas.
Jeez.
And it's our job to get it to
Hmm.
every single house every single day.
Who would be the one that's like, sorry, I don't know, this letter did not come in today. I think it's tomorrow, whatever. I don't know. Oh my god, dude, no way. Okay, so what would be like if you were doing, regular residential, just how many houses would you be like expected to hit in a day? Like, is there, yeah, I know like it's all dependent upon, different variables, but on like an average, is it like, 100 houses, 1,000 houses?
I believe an average is about 400
Oh,
houses
jeez. Okay, I
in
thought we
a
were gonna
day.
be on the lower end. I thought we were gonna be closer to the 100. Jeez.
No, no, 100 is not very many, honestly.
No, golly.
But depending on the way your route is set up, if you're doing
Mhm.
a regular walking route for 8 hours, I think it's about 400 houses that you're going to be going to.
Wow. That's that's it's almost like, I mean, as somebody who doesn't do it, and like I'm not the best with numbers, clearly. So that it's not unfathomable, but I can't wrap my head around that of like 400 houses. You know what I mean? Like if I'm like thinking about a block, I'm like, that's I don't know, 20, 30, and it's like, yeah, do that
Right,
times
right.
10, times 15, times 20, and then you're done. It's like great. Um, no, that's wild. Kind of going along with like overtime, undertime, stuff like that. How does that work with pay structure? So, not to like, if unless you want to, you don't have to get specific, obviously. And if you don't want to talk about it at all, you could be like, hey, I don't want to discuss this. We can move on. But is there like a range for pay? Do you get overtime pay if you end up, obviously we're not finishing early as we discussed. I was going to say, if you finish early, do they go cut your pay? Like how does that kind of work from like is it hourly salary? Like what's the pay structure kind of look like?
Well, first of all, Brandon, I'm an open book. So
Okay,
you don't have to
appreciate it.
worry about, asking me something that you're afraid I'm not going to answer.
All right.
When you get hired as a career employee, you're going to be starting about $22 an hour.
Okay.
And basically, the way that mailmen make their big money is
Hmm.
working overtime.
Okay.
As soon as overtime hits after 8 hours, you're making time and a half. And then after 10 hours in a workday, you're making what's called penalty time, which is
Okay.
double time,
Double time. Okay.
double your wage.
Gotcha.
So if I start at 7:30 in the morning, it's going to hit 6 o'clock. because you got to add your lunch
Get
in. You're not
lunch.
getting paid for your lunch.
Yeah,
After 6 o'clock, I'm making double the money.
gotcha.
So the
Jeez.
post office is obviously going to try to prevent their carriers from working too much penalty time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But sometimes it is what it is. Carriers get sick, carriers call out,
And as we know, the mail has to go out.
the mail has to be delivered. So somebody's making that
Nice.
money.
Hey, it's beneficial if you're that person. If you're the one that's like, "Hey, I'm here."
I do know of carriers in my office that have worked for the post office for a long time. You do get your annual raises and whatnot. So you do
Mhm.
start at 22, but I know guys that are making 29, 30, $32 an hour. And I do know of carriers from my office that have been on the overtime list all year and they make $100,000 in a year.
Wow. Wow.
I mean,
That's
you're working your butt off, but there is money to be had for sure.
definitely. Do you guys get, like, vacation?
Yes, this year they started me off. I mean, they're fronting you your vacation,
Okay.
and I got I think 100 hours for
Oh,
this
okay.
year. So I get vacation time, I get sick time, I accrue sick time as well,
Mhm.
and I accrue PTO. So when you retire as a carrier, your your sick leave rolls over each year and each year and each year. It doesn't get eliminated. So when you retire, if you haven't called out sick very often in your career, all that time gets added to your pension. So
Okay.
there are carriers that will get 2 years, 3 years added because they never called out sick.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I mean, you guys are federal employees technically, so you get, do they have, like, I'm sure some, like, retirement or like you're saying, pension, stuff like that. So there are those benefits as well.
It's one of the very few jobs left that you get a pension.
Yeah.
You get a pension from the government. You're also you basically are getting a 401k. It's called the thrift savings plan
Mhm.
that you're putting money into, just like a 401k. And USPS is also matching up to
Okay.
5%. So you're getting your pension, you're getting your thrift savings plan, and that's your source of retirement.
Gotcha. Um, Something that, kind of as we are going along here, but that I thought of. Have you ever been bitten by a dog?
No, I have not been bitten by a dog, but it is a big deal.
I was gonna say, is that like a thing, or is that something that, like, is in movies and TV, and you're like, "Dude, nobody ever really runs into dogs."
No, it is not urban myth. It is a big deal. As soon as I put that uniform on, dogs don't like me. They do not like the mailman. I don't know what it is. I've been a dog lover all my life.
Yeah,
I've had dogs. My family have
yeah,
had dogs. I've always been good with dogs, but as soon
yeah.
as I put that uniform on, they don't like you going on their property. They don't even though you go there at the same time every single day, it doesn't matter. Now
Interesting.
there are there are rarities where there are nice dogs.
Mhm.
You'll see videos of mailmen that give treats to dogs and stuff like that. They've become friends. But if you do get bit by a dog, it's a big deal.
Yeah, I was gonna it's like, I'm sure there's gotta be some kind of, like, process or whatever that.
There is definitely, and they're gonna check to make sure that you tried to prevent that dog bite. That
Okay.
satchel you're wearing, that's
Mhm.
supposed to be a small part of defense to
Okay. To,
distract the
like,
dog.
block.
You're gonna put the
Sure.
satchel down because more than likely the dog's just gonna latch on to whatever first is coming. If the dog is loose, it's
Yeah.
gonna try to bite whatever's first. You put the satchel
Put the
down,
thing down.
and then also, you're required to be carrying dog spray,
Oh,
which
wow.
is essentially pepper spray for dogs.
Okay. Wow.
So if you get bit by a dog,
You better have made every step to make sure that you did what you were supposed to do.
correct, they're going to go through and make
Mhm.
sure that you did everything you could to prevent the dog bite.
Gotcha. How do they, like, give you guys pointers or teach you, like, to deal with unruly customers?
Unruly customers, yeah. Well, when you first get hired at the post office, depending on what position you're applying to, but when you get hired as a carrier, you go to Carrier Academy, and
Okay.
it's like a week long. It's a week long class that is preparing you for everything that you're going to be encountering while you're out on
Hmm.
the street or whatever you're doing as a mailman.
Gotcha.
And that's one of the places where they teach you the right procedures to go through. And there are also daily messages, stuff like that, that they send us. Every mailman has a scanner that you're carrying around. I mean, the scanner is not just something to scan packages with, it's something
Hmm.
that management can, it's like a phone.
Okay, so they can
They
communicate
can
with you if they have
they can
to.
communicate with you.
Uh-huh.
It's like a GPS device as well, so they know where you are in
Gotcha.
case you get hurt or something like that happens.
That makes sense.
Um, but yeah, they're constantly going over rules, regulations, things like that to try to keep you safe.
Yeah, that makes total sense. If something another kind of thought I had was suspicious packages or suspicious mail. Is there, is it up to you to determine, oh man, this looks a little funny? Is it, something where that should have already been determined before it got to your case? Like, how does that kind of work?
Well, that is something that you preferably they'll get to it before
Yeah.
it gets to the mailman.
Yeah.
But there's suspicious mail. Yeah,
Hmm.
you're supposed to bring it to your supervisor. Each post office has a designated area where you bring suspicious mail to. A lot of the
Hmm.
times, people that are sending suspicious mail could be, illegal drugs. It could
Hmm.
be weapons. It could be whatever. Um, a lot of the times, like things that you look out for are somebody that just put a ton of stamps on a package,
Okay.
or obviously something you can smell. I have come across, um, it was a piece of express mail, so that's something that a customer paid extra for to
Hmm.
get to their destination within 2 days. I got the package. I had to come back to the post office. I got the package, and my supervisor and I were sitting there and we were saying to each other, "This smells funny."
Yeah. This.
Now, what's going to happen is I'm going to turn it over to the supervisor, and the supervisor is going to contact the postal inspectors. The
Gotcha.
postal inspectors are basically the police. That
Okay.
is the police um, that are going to be determining whether something is suspicious, illegal. It could be anything.
Sure.
I've heard of stories where the postal inspectors are coming because a mailman's stealing mail.
Oh.
Uh,
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
a
I
mailman
yeah.
is delivering packages, but they're not actually leaving them there.
Mm,
There's the postal
yeah.
inspection is that's a very serious job. That's you are the police
Yeah.
essentially for the post office.
Okay.
The post before we keep going,
Mhm.
I was gonna mention this earlier. USPS is the second largest employer in the United States.
Really?
The number one employer in the United States, do you know what it is?
If I had to guess, the United States military?
Correct.
Nice. Good
The United
guess.
States military. USPS is number two.
That's wild.
So there are a ton of jobs
Yeah.
for the USPS. You think of mailmen, you think of clerks, the people
Mhm.
that are behind the counter when you go to the post office. There are thousands of jobs that you could do.
Yeah, that nobody even sees.
You could be a driving instructor. You could be a postal inspector.
Mhm.
You could run social media accounts for the USPS. There are tons of jobs. It's not
Mhm.
just surface level, what you would think of
Mhm.
as the post office.
That's kind of one of the reasons. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why I started doing the podcast, but that's one of them is to kind of let people know that it's not just, the 100 jobs that everyone see, there's a lot of stuff out there. There's a lot of avenues that people can take and do. And if even if you're like, hey, I don't want to do mail, but you like social media, there there's still something you can do for the, you know what I mean, in that uh department. But so that's really that's interesting. Um when you let's say we've delivered all the packages, it's time to head back. Is there like a checkout procedure that you have to go through of like, do they check and make sure you're not taking any mail? They're like, Garrett, hands up, let's, check it, or how does that kind of go?
Well, they're watching you when you're at the post office.
Hmm.
At each post office, I mean, I know the post office that I work at, there are almost like tunnels up above, and you can see little tiny windows. Postal inspectors can literally be up there at any time watching. It is
Jeez.
a serious thing stealing mail, not putting
Yeah.
mail that say you're get okay, so I deliver to an apartment complex. People are constantly moving in and out of this apartment complex.
Yeah.
So you're getting mail that is for somebody that doesn't live there anymore.
Happens to us all the time. But
I bet
whoever lived prior to us did not change, and we get mail for different people all the
you're getting their mail, correct.
time. Hmm. Yes.
Now, your mailman hopefully is not delivering the mail that doesn't belong to your house or for a recipient that doesn't live at the house anymore.
Yeah.
Now there are all different there are different sections that you're supposed to be putting that mail in at the end of the day. I'm bringing out 1,200 pieces of mail when I leave in the morning, but I'm probably bringing back at least 100,
Oh.
150 because there's bad mail, maybe mail that was missorted,
Hmm.
mail that is for a recipient that no longer lives there. And so
Hmm.
at the end of the day, what you're doing is you're bringing that mail back, excuse me, and you're putting it into the different areas so it can be distributed correctly. Now,
Hmm.
say it's somebody that doesn't live at that house anymore and they moved out 10 years ago. You can't just forward their mail because when
I,
you put in a forward, it only lasts for a year.
hmm.
So you're going to be putting that mail in a different spot. You're going to be putting that in a spot called attempted not known.
Hmm.
And what they're going to do, the clerks are going to they're going to collect all that mail at the end of the day and they're going to return it back to the sender.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
at the end of the day, you're going to be sorting through the mail again.
Hmm.
You're going to be putting it all where it needs to go. And then you need to go check with your supervisor and make sure that you delivered all the packages that were on your route.
Gotcha.
They're going to know. They're going to know which packages are on your route. That's why every package has a tracking number.
Gotcha. Okay. And so then you check out, and you're, as we kind of discussed in the pay section, it's an hourly position. So you clock out and then like you're done. How does, because another thing I like to discuss a lot on the podcast for people is work life balance of like, once you're done, are you then cool? I'm out. Nobody's bothering me. Nobody's talking to me until I'm back in the post office the next day or whatever.
As a career employee, yes. If you're on the overtime list, your day could be longer than you're expecting it to be.
Hmm.
But you're on the overtime list, so you can't complain. You can't
Yeah.
say, hey, I wasn't expecting this today.
Right.
Say you go out on your route, you do your route, you're on the overtime list, and you get back to the post office, and your supervisor says, hey, we had a carrier today that I'll just use an example that's related to my area that had heat exhaustion. They weren't able to complete their route.
Oh.
So we have all this mail and all these packages sitting here, and we need you to go finish it.
Mhm.
So you're gonna if you're not working as a 8-hour employee, they could be calling you throughout the day. They
Yeah.
could be calling you at night asking you, "Can you come in tomorrow on your day off?"
Gotcha. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so it all depends on what you have decided you wanna do.
That's the other thing. So it's not like it is in the sense, they can hit you up, but it's they're hitting you up because you've signed up to be hit up. You know what I mean? Like
Correct.
you've signed up to get these calls, so it's not like, hey, I'm done, and then they're bothered. People are bothering me. Hey, where'd you put this? Hey, where'd you put that? That's that's
Yes.
at least nice to know that if you want to be done, you can. But if you want to get out there and hustle and make your money, you can keep doing that too.
Correct.
Um, awesome. We kind of discussed, we touched on that there's different jobs and that there's different kind of positions that people wouldn't think of necessarily. Is there kind of a career trajectory path that you personally are looking to do within the post office? Is this something where you're like, not to say, put out there, hey, I'm leaving tomorrow, but is it something where you're like, oh no, I like my pension, I like, this is what I want to do, and kind of what path you may choose to take with that?
Personally, I do enjoy carrying mail. I enjoy being a carrier. But I don't know if I want to do that for 20, 30 years. It is hard on your body. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously, a lot of carriers towards the end of their career, they're going to be taking months of time off because they're either having a surgery for their back or
Hmm.
their knees are giving out or whatever it is. I don't want to put that strain on my body
Right,
for
right.
that long. So what I've been looking into is becoming a vehicle instructor.
Oh, okay.
I know how to drive every vehicle.
Hmm.
Um, I've been a trainer at multiple jobs that I've had, and so that's something that I've been looking into is becoming
Okay.
a vehicle trainer.
That's cool. And then that would be like you're the guy teaching everyone how to drive the different cars, showing them, this is the check you want to go through. You want to look for all these things.
Correct, correct. Yeah, there is a lot that goes into training on these vehicles. I mean, 99% of the people that are going to apply to be a carrier have never driven a vehicle on the right side.
No,
You know,
never.
why would you have unless you've lived in Europe or,
Yeah.
some other place where they drive on the right side of the car.
Yeah, it's got to take a little getting used to, I would imagine. I'm like, oh, wait.
There's a huge emphasis on vehicle safety. Uh,
Mm,
the number one bugaboo, the number one thing that they harp on is making sure your wheels are turned towards the curb, your
mhm,
emergency brake is up, everything is good. You are not supposed to leave your vehicle running. These are vehicles that have been in service for 30 years. You leave one of those in park and it's jiggling so much that it jiggles into drive. And then
mhm.
your vehicle is going down the street
And then you're,
potentially causing damage or hurting somebody. I
yeah,
mean,
that's a wild runaway car. Yeah, runaway car's got to be a bad one.
that is one of the main ways to get fired.
Yeah,
So
I can see that.
um, there's a lot that goes into vehicle safety. I mean, that's why there are. If you ever were to just look, I mean, you probably don't notice it when you just see mail trucks driving along the street. But if you take a closer look, there are like 15 mirrors on this vehicle.
Yeah, now that you mention it, now like there's like the little side.
There
Yeah.
are mirrors here. There's a mirror in the front on the right side. There's a mirror up here that you look into that shows you a mirror in the back so you can see the
Looks
back part of your
yeah.
vehicle. There are mirrors all around that thing to try to ensure that you're as safe as possible. I mean, you could be working in a residential area and there are children playing out on the street. I mean, this is a big bulky truck. You might not be you can't see what's below the front of your truck
Mhm.
without those mirrors.
Yeah.
So that's a huge thing with vehicle safety.
I think that would be a pretty interesting job too, is training people on the different vehicles. You get all the knowledge for each of the cars and stuff. That would be pretty interesting. Um, when you go back after you drop your mail off and is there like a locker for you to put your satchel in, or do you take that home with you? How does that?
Every carrier does it differently.
Okay.
I bring it home with me. I leave it in my car. Um, But some carriers leave it at their case. See, I'm a technician. I'm what's called a T6, so I don't
Mhm.
have a specific case I go to every day. I do my
Gotcha.
5 routes, you know.
Mhm.
So I don't have a case where I can just leave stuff at.
Gotcha. You don't have a designated spot.
Right. But we do have a locker room where you can put your stuff in. You can leave your satchel. You can leave whatever in there. Um, but yeah, that's how it goes.
So, I wanna try out it. Whack the microphone. I want to try out a new segment here. So we're something I thought of that I was really wanting to push is I'd like to push the positivity side of things. We always talk about negative in the world, and so it's like I want to try and focus on the positive. And something I had thought of was I want to start doing a segment on how can I be better to my blank. So, how can I be better as a regular citizen? How can I be better to my mail carrier?
Well, number one thing that I would say is pick up your mail. Pick up your
Okay.
mail daily, every other day. If you're going on vacation, put in a vacation hold with your post office so they don't
Okay.
deliver your mail that day. Uh, I deal with a lot of boxes that are full. I can't fit any more of your mail in your box, which means I'm going to have to clear that box out and bring all that mail back to the post office. I'm going to
Even
have
the
to
stuff that's already been delivered prior.
and I'm going to have to leave a little slip. Yeah, it's correct. I'm going to leave a
Mhm.
little slip that says your mailbox was full for this amount of days. You're going to have to come pick up your mail at the post
Oh,
office. So, number one thing I would say is pick up your mail.
I like that.
Really simple, pretty easy. But other things, I have a lot of nice customers on the routes that I do. They know how hot it is. We live
Mhm.
out here in Phoenix. It's the middle of the desert. We all decided to live in the middle of the desert.
Yeah,
So some customers will leave a cooler with waters out
that's
there
really cool.
saying,
That's really
"Hey,
cool.
feel free, grab a water from the cooler." And it's not just specific to USPS. It could be UPS,
Any
FedEx,
delivery
delivery
people.
driver, take a water if you need one,
Mhm.
whatever it is.
Oh,
So
that's cool.
I always think that's real cool, really
Yeah.
nice.
Okay, good to know. Well, there you go. So if you guys want to be better to your mail carriers, pick up your mail, stop it filling up your boxes, and leave out a water bottle or two. Come on, help them out. Um, as we're getting to the end here, wrapping up, kind of towards the end, what we like to do is if there's something that you want to, shine a light on, or a small business you want to promote, or a cause you want to, bring attention to, something along those lines. If there's nothing, that's cool too. If you just want people to support the post office, go buy stamps, something like that. But if there's anything that you want to specifically talk about, here's your time.
Well, there isn't a specific small business that I want to talk about, but I do want to say, during the past couple of years, during the pandemic, a lot of people started working from home,
Mhm.
starting their own small businesses. And what I would say is if you do run a business out of your home where you're sending things out, talk to your mailman
Mhm.
or contact your local post office, and they will send a representative out to speak to you about your small business, about your local business, and they will work with you on rates for sending packages, on helping you deliver bulk mail or packages. Um, so if you run a small business, use the United States Postal Service because we deliver every day to every address.
Nice. Yeah. That's that I never would have thought to of that of something you could do of like, hey, yeah, if I know a lot of people that have started Etsy stores, a lot of people that have started those kind of, small businesses doing little jewelry or different things like that. And it's like, yeah, if you are sending out, 50 packages a day from your residential address, the regular postman's kind of, got to be like, dude, what is going on here? Come on, help me out. So that's awesome. That's a great thing to mention to everyone. That's all I have. Oh, that's not all I have. Is there a piece of advice that you would give to yourself as a day one postal carrier, day one technician? Is there something that you're like, knowing everything I know now? I would have told myself this day one.
Um, Day one, as a city carrier assistant, because that's what you're going to start out as,
Mhm.
a CCA, lean on your other postal employees. Ask the older guys questions. Don't be afraid to ask, because there are stuff that I learn still every day. Um,
Yeah.
you This isn't the kind of job where you can get trained in a week and understand everything. There's it's just the post office has been up and running since 1775. First
How many?
postmaster, Ben Franklin.
Hey, fun facts.
Yeah, fun fact. Ben Franklin, first postmaster.
Nice.
Um, Ask your veteran carriers questions, because they know that you don't know the answers to these questions. So
Right.
they're not gonna be mean. They're gonna help you. Um,
Everybody's been new once.
Everybody has been new, exactly. And that's not exactly totally specific to the post office, but
Yeah.
that's what I would say.
You're not my first guest to say reach out for like ask for help.
Yeah.
A lot of people I think realize within themselves like I don't like asking for help. I don't want to seem like I don't, know, so I understand that people don't want to ask for help. But ask for help. I mean, most people want to help.
And then one other thing that is specific to this job
Mhm.
is work at your own pace. Do not bust your butt trying to run through a route because somebody told you you should be doing this and be done at a specific time. You need to show progress. Don't try to just run through it and do everything, like, say you're supposed to be done at 4 o'clock. If it's going to take you longer, call your supervisor and let them know,
Mhm.
because it's your body. It's yourself and your mental health
Mhm.
that you need to be taken care of. You're number one.
Yep.
The post office, it's going to continue to run. It's going to
Yep.
continue to keep on running whether you're there or not. So take care of yourself.
And I couldn't have said it better myself. I think that's a great spot to end. So I just want to say thank you. I appreciate you taking time again. Like I said, hopefully, we can keep keep the post office going. Keep people, come on, everybody support. Like Garrett said, talk to your if you're starting businesses, talk to your people, help out your carriers. And thank you for being my guest today.
Of course, man. Anytime.
And that's it for another episode of the Jobology podcast. Thank you, Garrett, for being my guest today. Now, before I let you guys get off to barbecuing, swimming, fireworks, whatever you have going on this 4th, please, couple reminders. Like, subscribe, follow on all major social media platforms at Jobology Podcast. And if you haven't checked us out on YouTube, go over to YouTube, subscribe, check out a couple episodes. We'd really appreciate it. Like we say to end every episode, make good choices.